What's up, guys? Welcome to the HollingsWorthless podcast. This will be supposed to be Wednesday, but coming out Thursday, the 23rd. As always, I'm your host, Big Irish Jay Hollingsworth, and there is no co-host. There is no mascot Phil Fox. There's no guest. A couple things. So I'm doing this in the morning. I'm a little more energized, which is good. But I wanted to. So I'm sure people have been wondering what's going on with Phil. So I wanted to kind of address a little bit about that without speaking for him. Phil's going through some stuff in his personal life that he's dealing with, and he's working through that right now. And until he figures that out or gets that worked out, he won't be on the podcast for a minute. Ideally he'll be back eventually after he gets all this worked out. I love Phil. There's no tear or anything in our friendship or anything like that. Hit him up at like the animal. Just tell him you miss him, you love him. But yeah, so Phil. That's why Phil hasn't been on, and I haven't really addressed it just because it's kind of Phil's thing to talk about, and I've wanted to have him on to talk about it, but as of right now, he's chosen not to. Once it all comes out or whatever, it all makes sense. But just he's going through stuff right now, and he's dealing with it. So I love him. He knows I love him. We all love him, and he's just working through that. So, but hit him up. Tell him you support him in whatever he's doing. So a couple things. I'm recording this in the morning, so I'm energized. But the big day in HollingsWorthless news. We're pivoting on the podcast. So. I've been doing the podcast now for 6 or 7 years. I'm sweating because I just put on some Palmers. That's how I keep the good looks, young looks. Anyways, when I first started the podcast, it was just solo. And if you listened to those back then, I would yawn. I don't know why, but I would yawn 1,000 times in the podcast. I have no idea why. Not getting enough oxygen. But then we eventually. I've had the Phil Fox, the mascot, the co-host with the Mostos, and we had Kane Holloway. But we're pivoting. I'm going back to. It's going to be solo. It's just going to be me because a couple reasons. I mean, I'll have guests on time to time. Probably. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it may seem the same, but this one I'm doing solo to kind of let you know. Moving forward, what's kind of the default, but the couple reasons why. So if it's just me, I know I can meet at that time. I know I can do it. I know I'm not going to cancel on myself, so I can be a lot more consistent. And I want to also I'm going to start having a little more format to it, a couple segments, stuff like that, talking about stuff from the previous week. Again, I'm still going to have guests on, interviewing them and stuff like that. And also these will probably be, overall, there may be shorter episodes, like 30 minutes. I'm not going to put a limit on that I must, minimum or maximum amount of time that I got to talk. So maybe episodes that are 30 minutes, maybe episodes that are 2 hours. Who knows? But it's exciting time at the HollingsWorthless podcast. Hopefully you're excited. So, with that, let's this last week. So I was in Vegas this last week. I was doing Brad Garrett's comedy club. Just an amazing club. Comics all know that Brad's is known as one of the best clubs in the world, and it's interesting too because before you work there, in the comedy community, everybody says Brad Garrett is the nicest dude, and it's crazy because if you hear 1,000 times Brad Garrett, nicest guy, so you start to expect, this is where he is on the nice scale, and then you meet him, and he's above and beyond that. He is the best dude, just the greatest dude. He busts balls. He's very gracious. He's the best, and the club, from the staff to the green room. The green room probably has some of the best art and pictures. Actually, not some of. I would say it probably has the best pictures and art that I've seen. Yeah, it's just amazing. So the week I worked with Eddie Ift and Dave Burley, Hadn't worked with Eddie before. I knew both of them. I had met both of them before, and it was just great dudes. And so it was a good week. And while I was out there, Trix, comedian Trix, a good buddy of mine, was, I guess he's in the process of moving out there. I think February 1st he officially moves, but he was out there, and so we hung out the whole week. And then Ed, the manager, it's weird calling him, just referring to him as the manager, but Ed, who's like one of the managers at Brad Garrett's, who's now also a good buddy, all week we were just hanging out and busting balls. It was just so fun. And then lost my ass in poker. I lost $100. It wasn't that much. Yeah. And then the Conor McGregor fight was going on while I was in Vegas. Oh God, I would have loved if he came to a show. I'm sure he's a little busy, but that would have been great. And that fight, Jesus. So I've been, Conor McGregor, I used to do MMA. I used to have a school, martial arts school, and loved, when Conor first got on the scene, I'm like, holy shit, we got an Irish dude. He's representing Ireland, and he's fucking good. And then Conor started, it's like the Rocky movie, he came from nothing, worked his way up, got success, and then he got, I don't want to say lazy, but maybe complacent, and he started fucking up. He's getting into all this trouble, hit an old man, which that is, I have a real soft spot in my heart for old people because I was raised by my grandparents. So that I really started being like, man, Conor, I want to support you, but it's fucking getting really hard. And excuse me. So came back, and from all the interviews and everything, it sounds like he's learned from his mistakes, and he is repenting. He feels bad about it. I mean, we'll see as time will tell, but through this whole thing, he didn't do a lot of shit talking. It was a lot of respect to Cerrone, which Donald Cerrone's a great fighter, great dude, it seems. But moving forward, I hope Conor keeps that same energy. I mean, I do like it when he talks shit to the fighters, but keep all that drama just in the fight game. Don't bring it outside of the fight game. That's my opinion on it. Tom Brady, people have been asking me, oh, what are you going to do when Tom leaves, blah, 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 blah. When all the rumors first started, I was like, dude, he's not going anywhere. It's all just fucking horse shit. But, man, stories keep coming out, and I'm like, yikes, is Tom leaving? I mean, that like the interview where he's like, I'm open to anything, but, again, you're going to say that, he bought the house, or he sold a house and moved, then that you're like, oh God, but it's still, I think it's the house he bought is still in New England. So it's not like he was like, oh, okay, I'm selling everything and buying a house in LA. But I think he's trying to be closer to New York for his wife, who's the breadwinner in the family. I don't know. I mean, I hope Tom stays. I mean, if you look at the playoff game, that the Pats lost, it wasn't on Tom. His receivers were dropping balls. Edelman, dropped an easy one. I think it was the rookie receiver. One of the receivers, actually there was a couple receivers dropped multiple passes, and I'm just like, oh man. But Tom was great in that game. I mean, as far as it wasn't on him. They didn't lose because of him. So, and then people are like, oh, well, what about Garoppolo? What do you think about that? Barstool, Jerry Thornton on Barstool did a great article about they had really three options with Garoppolo. Just let him go, let him go in free agency, get nothing, do the trade like they did, or sign him to a max deal to just sit him. They're not going to do that. And then the other thing too is since letting Garoppolo go and keeping Brady, Brady won 2 Super Bowls. So. Are you gonna be like, oh, didn't work out for us? Yeah, it worked out fine. And I with that, I was hoping that the Super Bowl was going to be the Titans versus Niners, because the Titans have Mike Vrabel as their coach, former Patriot, and the Niners got Jimmy GQ, former Patriot. So. It's the Niners and KC. I'm going for the Niners. I want the Niners. I also have a lot of buddies that are huge Niner fans. Roger Lazzola, Lucas Seeley, and Roger is the hugest fucking troll when it comes to NFL, and I enjoy watching him fucking bust balls and everybody losing their shit. So it'd be fun if the Niners win. I'm like, honestly, I don't really give a shit either team. I mean, it could be cool if KC won, just because they haven't won. It's been 50 years or something. But let's go Niners. Also, big news on another podcast. Aska is coming back. So if you don't know, myself and Kevin Fredericks, or as he was nominated on this awards, Kevin space stage. Kevin and I do a show. We did a show we had, I think, 50 plus episodes of the show called Aska, where it's us interviewing people that you may not interact with on a regular basis. So it's like, ask a former meth head, ask a former crackhead, we had the real Rick Ross, ask a former drug dealer, ask a Crip, we had ask an airline pilot, we had ask Beyonce's drummer. So it's all over. We interviewed so many people. Ask a transgender person. We did that too. Kevin and I love doing the show, and people love the show. But it was Kev would fly people in. He'd pay for a car service to take them, pick them up, take them to a hotel, bring them to Kev on Stage Studios, record it, take them back, pay for all that stuff. And so he was bleeding money. And then, we had to stop doing it. But then when we did, everybody's like, yo, what's up with Aska, dude? It's like my favorite show. That's what I look forward to on Mondays. So Kev had epiphany? Whenever I say that word, I'm always like, is it epiphany with a TH or it's with PH? Epiphany. I'm so dumb. Anyways, Kev had that. He had a thought about Aska, that he was like, people want this show. They want to support the show. And he was like, I didn't even give him a chance. I just was like, oh, it's too much, and we're going to shut it down. So he opened it up with Kev on Stage Studio, started a Patreon for Kev on Stage, and people support. And so we're bringing it back. And we have some amazing interviews in the works, including with a person in the witness protection program. It's going to be insane. So got that to look forward to. I know we're going to be recording some in February, and how fast they come out, I'm not sure, but it's coming back. Aska is coming back, baby. And I'm as far as me, I'm back here right now in Phoenix. Oh, I was going to tell you another thing about Vegas, dude. So if you've been listening to the podcast, so my lease was up April 1st in LA. I was at the end of March. And since then, I'm on the road so much that I've been, when I'm not on the road during the week, I've been bouncing back and forth between my buddy Sean's in Pasadena and then my buddy Hillary out here in Phoenix. And during the week I'm here, and then usually on the weekends I'm somewhere. And so the next couple of months I'm on the road a bunch. March, I'm in Massachusetts all of March. So if you're in Massachusetts, I'm doing, Nick's Comedy Stop, the Woo Ha Ha, the Roar in Springfield, comedy scene at Foxborough. There's a club in Connecticut I'm doing. I'm all over Massachusetts and Connecticut for all of March. You can go to bigirishj.com for dates. But when I get back, I got to figure out where. And I was going to say, so when I'm in Vegas, man, there's so many. There's clubs there that I love, like the staff, and LA Comedy Club. I'm really good with those dudes. Matt Chavez, shout out Matt, Joaquin, Drew, all those guys. Brad Garrett's, I'm in there. I'm great with them. Cindy, Ed, Zach, the whole crew, Dre, and I'm in at some of the other clubs, and I don't have that same type of relationship, but I'm working on it. And dude, as I'm out there and I'm driving around in the city with Ed or Trix, That's another thing. So many comic friends of mine are moving out there or have moved out there. Trix is moving out there. DJ Sandu just moved out there. Miles Weber's out there. Spencer James is out there. I'm trying to think. And then the local comics. There's a bunch of local comics there that are, I would consider friends. You know, Yellow Paco, he's out there, a young comic that's a good dude. But as I was out there, I'm like, man, I'm looking around and I'm just getting the vibe, and I'm like, fuck, I kind of like Vegas, man. I'm kind of digging Vegas, but it's between, like, originally I was looking at possibly Boston, Vegas, or LA, or here Phoenix. And I think Boston's kind of off the table. I'm going to stay on the west side. And there's also some other news that I can't talk about right now coming down the pipe that kind of plays into why I'm going to stay on the West Coast. As far as, like, I got to be available for auditions and stuff like that in LA. And so, yeah, I think I know who I'll probably have a roommate, and I think I know the guy that's going to be my roommate, which I'll talk more on that later. Actually, I might have him on for my next podcast, which I'll be recording up in Seattle, because I'm going to Seattle this weekend. Oh, what a subtle plug. Oh, what is this? Let me see where we're at. Yeah, see, like I was like, we're probably about like 30 minutes, 20 minutes. And actually, I think 5 minutes of that is off because I had to answer the door and start over. But this weekend, I'm going up to Chehalis, Washington, flying into Seattle, and I'm going to do the Chehalis Theater. Manny Martin is, Manny been on the podcast multiple times. He's featuring, and Mike Coletta also been on the podcast multiple times. He's hosting. I'm excited for that show. Yeah, and I think I'm going to have Gabe hop on the podcast. Gabe Botten, he's a photographer, does photography for the Big Sky Comedy Festival. Going to be working with Big Pine. Good dude. And so that's coming up this Saturday. What else did I want to tell you about? Oh, the Aaron Hernandez documentary. Did you guys see this? What a fucking idiot. Man, they're like the CTE. It seems like they were kind of spinning at the end, like, oh, the CTE caused him to commit these murders. And I'm like, did the CTE cause him to be a fucking idiot with his murders? Because this guy, not bright. Oh, man. I mean, is it a spoiler if this is all real life and happened? I'm just going to tell you. So he commits this murder and comes home and he destroys some videotapes of his security camera, but he doesn't destroy the one where he's holding the gun in his hand, just walking around his house right after he gets home. Genius. And returns I think it was a rental car where there's bullet casings in the rental car. Fucking dummy. And gum that it's pretty interesting. The CTE angle at the end, I'm kind of like, nah, I don't know. If you want to see a documentary about CTE and also a guy that was just a stud, and it's going to make you cry, go see or watch Seau, the Junior Seau documentary. Oh man, tears, just fucking tears. Junior Seau, if you don't know, he played in San Diego, played for the Chargers, eventually was with the Patriots, and like everybody said he was like the nicest dude, and he realized he was starting to fucking get that CTE shit, I guess, like with getting angry and stuff like that. So he killed himself, but he intentionally shot himself in the chest, and I believe he left a note where he said, study my brain for CTE, and they did, and he had CTE, and it's just, oh god, it's so sad because he was beloved by everybody. I actually want to get a Seau Patriots jersey because that guy was just a stud. R.I.P. Junior. What else are we covering on this? That might be about it. See, like I said, these might be quick podcasts now. Just talking, unless I got something I want to talk about or have a guest on. They might be quicker ones, but yeah. Hey, look, no yawning this episode. What the fuck? I've grown up. If you listen to the ones way back in the day, I literally was every 2 minutes I would just yawn, and I'm like, am I fucking boring myself? What is happening? I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to cover on this, and I don't have my phone with my notes because I'm recording the video on this. I got to start doing that. I got to write down notes on the topics I wanted to cover. Oh, shit, I know what I want to tell you about in Vegas. So I'm single, and I'm on the apps, as you do when you're single, and so this weekend I had a lovely meeting, date/meeting with a transgender person. Not by choice. So I matched with this girl, and very pretty, and I'm just in my head I'm thinking, because I'm working on a bit about this, and like the whole thing is I do this bit about getting fooled, so to speak. Well, not even so to speak, I was fooled. I want to make sure I do this bit where it doesn't come off that I'm shitting on somebody that's trans, you know. But anyway, so this lady we meet. On her profile doesn't say anything about, you know, I'm a trans woman or anything. So we start texting. We matched. We start texting, and I remember she said she was from New Jersey, and then immediately after we start texting, she's like, do you want to meet for lunch? And I was like, shit, it's kind of forward, but all right, cool. So I'm like, sure. So then I was like, we exchanged numbers. I call her in the morning, and I said in the joke, I was like, you know, I'm listening to her, and I'm like, yikes. Okay, I mean, it's morning. Maybe she got that, you know, morning voice, you know. And so we decide to meet. So she's like, we should meet at the Las Vegas Athletic Club, and we'll meet there, and then we'll go get something to eat. Cool. So I go to the Las Vegas Athletic Club. I call her. She answers. Again, I'm like, well, it's still considered morning. Could still be morning voice. So she's across from me, or I'm pulling up, and I'm talking to her, and she's like, oh, you just passed me. So I pull around, and I'm like, I'm on the phone with her, and I'm thinking, okay, we're here now. Where do we go? She goes, oh, okay, I'll be right over. And I'm like, be right over. She gets out of her car, walks around to her passenger side, and she's wearing sunglasses, and she kind of keeps looking at me, and she's probably 30 yards away. So she keeps like glancing over at me, but she's kind of doing it where, I mean, she has sunglasses on, and it's almost like she's not showing her face. But she walks around to her passenger side and grabs her dog, and then starts walking towards my car, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Gets to my car, opens my, and I'm like, okay, do I roll down my window? What? Opens my door and gets in with her dog. So now I'm like, it's a little fucking forward. So as soon as she sits in my car, she has like makeup is just caked on, and it's greasy, and she has her sunglasses on, hasn't taken her sunglasses off, and I'm looking at her, and so you know how you're like trying to check somebody, you're looking at somebody, whether it's somebody you know or not, and they have sunglasses on, so you don't know if they're looking at you. So I'm looking at her, and I'm like, I'm trying to look at her without her knowing that I'm like taking her all in and like scanning. By the way, as she's walking over, she's very skinny, but no curves, like just straight up and down. So she gets in the car, and I'm looking at her, and I look at her hair, and I'm like, oh, fuck, okay, that's a wig, which now going back and looking at her pictures, I'm like, oh, fuck, I didn't look real closely at the picture. She's wearing a wig and that. So she gets in the car, and I'm like, I'm still like tripping that she just walked over and got in the car. At this point, I'm more like, this is just weird more than, oh, is this girl transgender? So I'm like, she's like, oh yeah, so we can just go over to, I don't know, some place to go eat. And I go, as I'm taking her in, I'm now like kind of going, oh fuck, she might be transgender. So I'm like, and I'm not gonna just ask her, but I'm like, okay, how do I get her the fuck out of my car? Partially because I'm not interested in dating someone that's trans. That's my hang up. You can say whatever. but also because she's fucking weird. Like, just a fucking, she doesn't know me. I don't know her. She could fucking whip out a gun. She brings her dog in my car. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? So I'm like, I say to her, I go, oh, I thought we were going to take separate cars. And she's like, oh, I don't really like driving. I'm like, oh, I got to pick up a buddy from the airport. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I know she's trans and I want to get out of this date because I have no interest in dating a trans person. Again, that's my thing. Yeah, Phil, my buddy Phil's walking behind. I didn't tell you this story, did I? Yeah. So are you about to leave? I'll tell you. Yeah. So you can just. So, have you heard everything so far? Okay. So I'll recap. So those watching or listening, I got a recap for Phil. In Vegas on Tinder, matched with a girl. 3 pictures. I'll show you the pictures after this. Pretty. I think she's like Latina, right? All face pictures, and I talked to her on the phone, and voice is a little deep, but I'm like, oh, it's morning voice, you know. So we she says, she's like, let's meet at Las Vegas Athletic Club, then we'll go get something to eat. So I go, cool. I pull up. I'm like, I'm here now. I'm thinking we're gonna follow each other. I tell her I'm there. She gets up. She gets out of her car. She goes, I'll be right over. She gets out of her car, walks around, grabs her dog on a leash, and then just walks to my car and gets into the fucking car. So now she's in my car, and she has on and she has sunglasses on. So I'm trying to like assess her, take her all in, but I'm also trying to do it where I'm not obvious because I don't know where her eyes are looking, right? So as I'm looking at her, I'm like, oh fuck, she has a wig on. That's 100% a wig, and she has like makeup is just caked on, and it's like greasy looking. I'm like, oh fuck. And then I start, as she was walking over, very thin but no curves, just straight, and I'm like, I'm assessing everything. I was like, oh fuck, I think she's trans, right? So I'm like, okay, and now she's in my car, and this fucking chick is psycho. She starts going, so I'm trying to get her out of my car, right? I'm like, oh, I thought we were gonna take separate cars. Yeah, I was like, I thought we were gonna take separate cars. You know, I'll follow you or whatever. She goes, oh, I don't like driving. You know, you don't like dogs? And I was like, I didn't say that. No, I just thought we were taking separate cars. Then she starts going into this thing. She goes, do you think I'm ugly? And I'm like, whoa, no, I didn't say that. And she goes, most people think I'm beautiful. You don't think I'm beautiful? I'm like, and now at this point, because again, I don't know her. She could fucking have a gun and going to shoot me or whatever. I don't know this chick. So I'm like, I'm saying anything to get her the fuck out of my car, right? She's like, you don't think I'm beautiful? I'm like, no, you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. And she's like, I'm not fat. Look at me. I have a nice body. And then I was kind of like, I'm like, is that like a shot at me? She's trying to take a shot at me. So I'm like, all right. I go, no, you're not fat. You're beautiful. You know, great body, blah, 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 blah. And then she goes, most guys think I'm like one of the most beautiful women. I'm like, yeah, yes. So then she's like, this is literally like 10 minutes of me saying, you know, subtly being like, get the fuck out, and her rebutting with, I don't like to drive. What, do you think I'm ugly? I'm not pretty, over and over and over again. Then it gets to a point where she fucking whips her glasses off and intensely, she's like, you don't look at me. Look how beautiful I am. You don't think I'm beautiful? And I'm like, fuck yeah, you're fucking amazing. Jesus Christ, right? So she's like, well, I just don't understand. I mean, if you don't like dogs, and I'm like, I didn't say I didn't like dogs. I like dogs. Fuck. So finally, she's like, okay, fine, we'll go to Chinatown. And I'm like, I'll fucking go to China if it'll get you the fuck out of my car, right? So she gets out of the car, she gets in her car, I come around, I start following her, and then as I'm following her, I'm just thinking, I'm like, I have no interest in dating someone that's trans. That's my thing, whatever. And so I'm like, it bugs me that somebody wouldn't put, you know, people will say, well, that's a person's option if they want to put if they're trans or not. But I'm like, you know, I have no desire whatsoever to date somebody that's trans, whether it's if I wanted to maybe have kids with someone down the road or my own hang up. I know I couldn't get past if I knew somebody used to have a dick where I'm looking at a vagina. That's my thing, right? So she goes through a stoplight we're driving, and she goes through one of the lights, and I just take her right, and I'm like, bye. And I just immediately unmatched from her and blocked her. And I could have gone to breakfast or to lunch with her if she was chill and just had done that, but she was fucking insane, dude. When she took her glasses off and she's like, "Wait, you don't think I'm beautiful? Most people think I'm beautiful. I can't believe it. Why do you think I'm ugly?" And I was like, I think this chick's gonna fucking murder me. And I'm watching her hands, and I'm like, okay, she's got her dog with her, so she's probably not gonna fucking, but just psycho. So that was my experience going out with somebody trans. And I have friends that are trans, and but for me personally, I have no desire to date someone trans. Kind of like a white girl. But yeah. Oh no, but I blocked her number. I unmatched her, blocked her, and I was like, fucking yikes. What a fucking crazy though, dude. It was so intense. I have another story. I'm not going to tell it. I might tell it on the next podcast. Actually, I will, because Manny will be on the podcast. When I lived in Seattle, I had a weird. This girl, she wasn't trans or anything, but she was a fucking psycho, and I'll tell it on the next podcast. One of my dating adventures you'll have to hear about on the next HollingsWorthless. You taking off? See you, Philly. But yeah, so now I'm what? Yeah, Phil says hello. So I'm now working that story out on stage, and I did it at the CB Live open mic on Monday, and I have more after I say that I just said bye, and took off, but I won't reveal that here. You have to come to a live show to hear that story and hear the amazing jokes involved in it. But I think that's it. So I'm at Big Irish Jay on all social media, bigirishjay.com. Look out for Aska probably coming out in February. New episodes, and I got a lot of dope stuff. Oh, Joke a Week is starting April 1st. That's the same date I started it in 2013. If you know, or if you don't, back in 2013, I posted me working out a new joke every week for a year. The whole idea was building a new hour 1 week at a time, and I'm going to do that again starting April 1st. And these may not all be funny because it's in premise form and you're trying to fish and work it out. But yeah, that's it. Go to bigirishjay.com for all upcoming dates. You can also go to Bands in Town and follow me on there, and that'll tell you. But some of the places coming up, I got, let's see, I'm going to be in Chehalis this weekend. And then right now I'm going to be in Vegas Super Bowl weekend doing Jimmy Kimmel's Live. Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club. Jimmy Kimmel Live. It's one of those names. Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club in Vegas on the Saturday right before Sunday Super Bowl. The week after that, I'll be in Washington, D.C. D.C. Comedy Loft, my first time in D.C. After that, I'm trying to think. I'm going to be at Oklahoma City at the Bricktown Comedy Club. Bunch of dates coming up. Just go to bigirishjay.com for future dates. And hope you guys enjoyed the new format. I'll probably have a segment that's just like dating stories, because I have so many insane dating stories. So maybe I'll add that on it. Until next week. And also check out the Worthless of the Week will be posted today, which is Wednesday. But you'll be hearing this on Thursday. So go check it out from yesterday. All right. Bye.